Right then guys, how's it going? And welcome back to Your Football Predictions, the series where you guys go up against me to see who can get the most correct predictions for the upcoming weekend of football. So to start things off, congratulations to Liverpool on their Premier League title. Very well deserved, best team all year. And I got the Chelsea Man City prediction right, so I was happy as well. Those were my predictions up there. I was right that Spurs would beat West Ham 2-0, and as I say, I was right that Chelsea would beat Man City 2-1. I got a few correct outcomes. I was right that Man U would beat Sheffield United, that Wolves would beat Bournemouth, and that Liverpool would beat Crystal Palace. So, 2 correct predictions and a few outcomes. I think that's alright. Normally I do a lot worse. But as always, you guys did better than me. We had a good few people who actually got 2 correct scores as well, but just one person got 3 correct scores, and that was Jake. So well done to Jake, you are this week's winner. As I say, more correct scores than anyone else. Big well done. And as I say, if you would like to be shouted out in my next predictions video, which will be next Friday, be sure to get your predictions down in the comments below for this weekend's games. And as you've probably guessed by the title, we are going to be looking at the FA Cup games this week. So as I say, predictions down below, but as always, we will go through the games now. I'm not going to lie, I was actually tempted to do both FA Cup and Premier League predictions in this video, but that would be so many games to predict. So we are going with the FA Cup this week. Premier League will be back next week, and there's some very good games in the FA Cup quarter-finals, and I think some really tough predictions to make, because you've got to remember, if you want to keep it simple, you can 1-0, 2-1, but these games can go to extra time and can go to penalties as well. So bear that in mind when you are making your predictions. So to start things off, on Saturday at 5:30, we have got Norwich taking on Manchester United. Norwich made their way to the quarter-final after beating Preston, Burnley and Spurs on a penalty shootout. So a very justified route to the quarter-final, beating some very decent teams there, but unfortunately their form away from the Cup has not been too good, currently sitting bottom of the Premier League, and following the return of football, they have lost both of their games against Southampton and Everton. So, I don't think Norwich is going to be too many people's favourite in this game, but it's the magic of the Cup. Who knows what might happen. For Manchester United to make their way to the quarter-final, they beat Wolves in a replay, they beat Tranmere and they beat Derby, and their form has been much better following the return of the Premier League with a draw against Spurs and a very good 3-0 win over Sheffield United. So, as I say, I do think Man U will be the favourites in this game. I think they have looked very good in their last few games, and I'm going to follow that trend with my prediction. I've got 2-0 Manchester United. In a cup game, I'd love to see Norwich do something here. Maybe even get through to a semi-final, push it into extra time, push it into pens. That's what we want to see. That would be the exciting game. But with the way both clubs are going at the minute, I've got to back Man U. Next up on the Sunday at 1 o'clock, we have got Sheffield United taking on Arsenal. And Sheffield United's route to the quarter-final was a win against Fylde, a win against Millwall, and a win against Reading. So, Sheffield United, quarter-final of the FA Cup, currently challenging for Europa League. If you'd given them that at the start of the season, I'm sure they would have taken it. They've had a fantastic season overall. However, their form following the return of football has not been too good. A draw against Villa, a loss against Newcastle, and a loss against Manchester United. But, if anything's going to turn that around, maybe it's a cup game against an Arsenal side who are also having a few problems. Arsenal, their route to the quarter-final was a win against Leeds, a win against Bournemouth, and a win against Portsmouth. And as I say, Arsenal's return form hadn't been too good either, with a loss against City and a loss against Brighton, but they did turn that around at the weekend and got a good win over Southampton. So, I think Arsenal will go in as the favourites on this one because they have managed to pick their form up and get the win at the weekend. But had we not had the Premier League break and had we been predicting this all that time ago, I think it could have well been very 50-50 because Sheffield United had been doing fantastically well. And even now, I think it could be a very close game. I think of all the games, this could be the one that we could see go to extra time. But I've kept mine simple. I've gone 1-0 Arsenal. But as I say, I think that's a very close game to call. So let me know your thoughts down below. Next up on the Sunday at 4 o'clock, we have got Leicester taking on Chelsea. So Leicester made their way to the quarter-final by beating Wigan, Brentford and Birmingham. And are having a great season. Sitting third place in the Premier League. About to play in the quarter-final of the FA Cup. I don't think they can be too unhappy about that. However, since the return of the Premier League, I don't want to say they're on bad form, but they've drawn against Watford and they've drawn against Brighton. They're still picking up points, but 2 games that I would normally expect Leicester to be winning. And then as for Chelsea, their route to the quarter-final was a win against Nottingham Forest, against Hull, and a great win against Liverpool as well. And Chelsea's form following the return of the Premier League has been a win against Villa, and as we saw, a very good win against City as well. So I think this could be a very tight game. If you're looking at form, you would back Chelsea. As I say, they are no doubt going to be on a high after beating Manchester City, but Leicester are a very good team, and when you've got players like Jamie Vardy who could score any time, it could go either way. This is another game I could potentially see going to extra time, but as I've said, I'm keeping mine simple. I've backed Chelsea to win 2-1. Let me know your thoughts down below. And to finish things off on the Sunday at 6:30, we have got Newcastle taking on Manchester City. So Newcastle made their way to the quarter-final by beating Rochdale in a replay, Oxford in a replay, and West Brom. Currently top goal scorers of the competition because we've played more games than everyone else. And Newcastle's form following the return of the Premier League has been pretty good, with a fantastic 3-0 win over Sheffield United and a draw against Aston Villa. So don't get me wrong, I don't think Newcastle will be the favourite for many people in this game either, but I'm also praying for the magic of the cup. And as for Manchester City, their route into the quarter-final was a win against Port Vale, a win against Fulham, and a win against Sheffield Wednesday. Man City's form following the return of the Premier League has overall been fantastic, to be honest, with a 3-0 win over Arsenal, a 5-0 win over Burnley, but then as we saw, a loss 2-1 against Chelsea last night. So, as I say, Man City will be the favourites for most people. But maybe the loss against Chelsea might have knocked their confidence a little bit. Newcastle have been playing good football since the return, and I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be massively biased, and I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle. Do I think it'll happen? Not really. But, God, I would love to see us get through to the semi-final of the FA Cup, so I'm not going to jinx it by saying anything else. Don't roast me down below. Just put your Man City win in, that's fine. But I need to stay true. So fingers crossed for a 1-0 win. So that is it, guys. Those are my predictions up there. As I say, be sure to get your predictions down in the comments below. I will go through all of your predictions and make a note of them before the first game kicks off, which is Saturday at 5:30. So you've got all day today, pretty much all day tomorrow, and then at 5:30 I will make a note of all of your predictions, and as I say, shout out the winner in next Friday's video. Remember, the games can go to extra time, they can go to penalties, so make your predictions as exact as you like, and as I say, I will shout out the winner next week. But thank you all for watching. As always, drop a like on the video and subscribe if you are enjoying these prediction videos. And enjoy the football. There's a lot more on this week, so I'm no doubt we'll all be glued to our televisions again, and we've got a lot more to go as well. So thank you for watching. As I say, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you later.